We'll now convene this April 17th meeting of the Centerville Town Council. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First up is agenda review. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
None.
Okay. We have 3 sets of minutes in the packet. It's the April 3rd budget meeting, the April 3rd regular meeting, and the April 4th emergency meeting. Are there any changes to any of those sets of minutes?
I saw none. I saw none.
I'll make a motion to approve the, oh,
There's a typo in the emergency meeting minutes,
oh,
just in the first bullet on the bottom half. Dan Rosendale's name's spelled wrong.
Yeah. What's that?
Okay, but other than that, did you have anything?
No, I didn't.
Okay, is there a motion?
yes, I'll make a motion to approve the April 3rd budget work session minutes, the April 3rd regular meeting minutes, and the April 4th emergency meeting minutes.
Great. I second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Forgot he was there.
Me too.
Next up, we have a citizens forum. Citizens are requested to keep their comments to 3 minutes. Are there any citizens that wish to address the council? Okay. Next up, we have some appearances. First, we will do the oath of office for Priscilla Molesky from the Park Advisory Board, and Sandy will come do that. Councilmember Huffer will come do that. Yeah, we'll move it up, I think, maybe a little.
Please raise your right hand. Say aye. And repeat after me. I, Priscilla Molesky,
I, Priscilla Molesky,
do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws thereof,
and laws thereof,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
and that I will, to the best of my skills and adjustment,
diligently,
diligent-
you're good, diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of member to the Centerville Park Advisory Board,
go a little slower.
execute the office of member
Execute the office of member
to the Centerville Park Advisory Board
to the Centerville Park Advisory Board
for a 3-year term
for a 3-year term
from 2025 to 2028,
from 2025 to 2028,
according to the town charter,
according to the town charter,
laws and ordinances
laws and ordinances
of the town of Centerville.
of the town of Centerville. Thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
Very much for your service. I appreciate that.
All right.
All right. And we'll do Jean another time. Okay, next up we have Kara Willis, Chair of the Planning Commission on the Centerville Comprehensive Plan 2040 Amendment. Thanks for being here.
Okay. You have before you tonight the text amendment for the comp plan that involves amending the actual text of the comp plan itself and the maps. And so there are at least 2 town council members who have been along the ride for at least the latter part of this. So this won't be totally unfamiliar for you, but for the sake of the audience that's out there,
Yes, mainly for the audience, I
yeah,
think, yes.
listening and watching, this will be a little bit of a run-through of kind of how this works. So let's see, we can go to the, oh, hold on, did I just erase a slide? I hope not. Let's go to the next slide and see if I sent it right. There we go, good. Okay, so why are we doing this? Where does this come from? the town of Centerville is required by the state to have a comprehensive plan. We update it every 10 years, and when we make our updates, there are suggested revisions inside of the comp plan. And so then once we get that approved, and the council approved that in 2023, we start implementing the changes that the comp plan recommended. In addition to that, when there are significant updates to the zoning, we also need to kind of circle back and connect those two pieces, the comp plan and anything that the town has updated. So everything, it speaks to each other, makes sense for long-term planning goals, in addition to short-term guidance. So what this is touching on, what this amendment is touching on is really kind of broken down into 4 key points in this case. It doesn't always have to be like this when there might be another amendment coming, but this is kind of how it breaks down. So because shortly after the comp plan was approved, there was an annexation of the Providence Farm. And so that was part of the future land use piece of that knew that eventually there was going to be this, there was going to be land annexed in. And so the next step of that would be once the town council approved the annexation, then the process begins where the maps need to be changed and updated in the comp plan, and they're just, again, to keep everything consistent. So that's the first piece. The second piece is updating the maps within the comp plan and also making sure that they're consistent with the zoning maps based on recommendations that were made within the plan itself. So that's moving forward and doing the suggestions that the comp plan said, this is what we want to do. The next part is, as we're going through kind of fine-tuning some other things, some map-related that we've kind of found along the way that, well, it makes sense for consistency to kind of make these tweaks and suggest, and it could be just down into specific parcels, or we can get into that a little bit more in a bit. And then there's some other things that happened in the cases where, say we were in the middle of the comp plan, working through the comp plan, and say we had a site plan approval. Well, that land use map would change, because if it was vacant land, now it's occupied land for some use, and so that needs to be updated as well. So we said, okay, let's just do that at the same time. So go into the next slide. Oh, hold on. What happened? Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, so the Providence Farm annexation. There are a little bit more moving parts than this, but these are the 2 main things that we need to pay attention to. The growth area map, or the future growth map, is on the right-hand side, and basically what that does is just changes that bold outline that used to not include that lower piece, which is now the Providence Farm annexation. Now that it's part of the town, the map needs to show that, so we just go and redraw that bold line, and so now it's there. On the left-hand side, the future land use map, I gave you a nice big arrow that shows you what we added, which was the complete neighborhood piece. The complete neighborhood was something that was talked about in the comp plan itself, kind of eventually that this is the way that we're going to want to use, a tool that we're going to want to use in moving forward in mixed-use residential and commercial designations for development, as well as infill development. And so we didn't have that as part of our zoning code yet, and we still don't, but because the annexation happened, this is the time where we would want to add that language into the map. So complete neighborhood is a new piece of the future land use plan. And right now, the annexation piece, that Providence Farm piece, is the only piece that we have that is called complete neighborhood. And because we still have a little bit of time before that's going to be able to come, before the development proposal physically will start coming to us, we have some more time to work with that language. So that's the change that we have right now. Okay, next slide. All right, and then going back into the some of the recommendations that were given in the comp plan, one of the largest pieces that was done as far as the zoning map goes is adding and expanding the central business district from the edge of where it was now, which would have been kind of along, up Mamma Mia's area, up against the railroad, and then all the way down. So now it goes up to the Dollar General parcel. Given the commercial use of that and the fact that it's across the street from existing residential, the potential of redevelopment of those parcels, essentially, it still allows for commercial because of the CBD, but it will require a little bit more of a kind of neighborhood walkable feel as opposed to the more kind of intensive commercial / light industrial that's there now. So that piece, and then also the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue, which is a parking lot right now, there's been some talk about how that could potentially be developed in some way to mimic what's on the other side of the street now. That had a different zoning, and so now this rezoning of Central Business District would allow for that sort of thing to happen. And then the next slide. Okay, sorry this gets a little bit grainy, but when you start getting into this map, you can get a little lost on the side streets. So what we're looking at here is, again, the Central Business District, some of the tweaks we made. One of the advantages that we had in our toolkit now is the GIS mapping has really gotten good about, we can really see where those boundaries are. And what we found out is that a lot of what used to be kind of a gray area here, we might have had some zoning, a change in zoning across a single parcel. Or it could have been maybe at one point 2 or 3 parcels that has been consolidated into one from a use standpoint, but may have been commercial CBD on one side and then residential in the back. For instance, this parcel that we're on right now was CBD, but then the back half of the parking lot was still residential. So let's just make that consistent. Let's just continue the line up to the end of the use itself. And then there were a few other circumstances, same kind of thing, like an alleyway to the back was residential, but the front of it was CBD. So we just kind of cleaned that up, and for the sake of consistency. Okay, next slide. Okay, and then I think the last big piece here was, this is kind of a hybrid of things that were recommended as part of the comprehensive plan, but then also things that didn't sing up with changes that were made to the zoning map kind of within the last 5 or 8 years or so. And then it kind of got missed when we were creating the maps for the comp plan itself. So you've got 425 South Commerce on the one side that had been residential. It was rezoned to commercial, but it had been vacant. And so when the map was originally done for the comp plan, it was mislabeled as being part of the open space. So we had a commercial zoned lot that was in open space, so that's obviously an issue. The other part on the left of that is, I would call that mill property area, and there's a few parcels that are kind of entangled within that whole area. And given that it's the gateway to town, the opportunity to do a little bit more with that from a commercial standpoint, to really kind of make it something special, that kind of needed to be a little bit more consistent through the whole piece to make it a little bit more viable for any kind of development potential. So that was another change that was made. Again, recommended by the comp plan for the most part, but it just a good time to do it now. So I think that is There you go, that's about it. And I don't know if you've got any more questions or anything you think that I missed that you want me to speak more to, or,
So around the mill, was that, so you're saying it was a mix of residential and commercial? Is that what you're, it's like a mixed bag?
yeah, like,
That
well, the
correctly?
back, it's still there's the larger piece that is to the west of the backsides of those parcels that go along 213 at that point. That's a residential component, and those are, some of that was already part of the growth area, future growth area, but we added a little bit more to that future growth area along the mill stream, kind of further back. So expanded that a little bit, and then again, so because we had expanded the future growth area potential, we thought expanding that commercial capacity along 213 might, again, because it was sort of, the size of the parcel that was zoned commercial wasn't really a viable, because you've also got, critical areas there and other pieces to deal with if someone would want to
A viable
develop that,
parcel.
to make it a viable
Yeah.
parcel,
Yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So, land use calculations, percentage-wise coverage, that kind of thing, so, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. I was involved with a lot of these meetings, but I can't remember why it was decided to, the text of the complete neighborhood says that they're identified on the future land use map, 10 acres or more, but all that's on the map is the Providence Farm property. It doesn't include other infill areas okay.
So eventually, the next piece of that will be once, as you know, we're also working on the changes to the TND code that will address not just the only existing current TND zoned parcel, but the long-term plan is for everything all of the infill to be part of TND, and also that the Providence Farm annexation will be part of TND. So it will be TND complete neighborhood. Because we have one parcel that we're trying to figure out, infill, but because we also need to try to design the code, make the changes to the code in the TND language that will also become part of the Providence Farm, we were like, recategorizing infill lots based on language that we don't have yet seem to be kind of putting cart before horse. So what we're trying to do is get that TND language worked out, kind of just looking at two parcels as our kind of sample size, right? So we've got the infill parcel, and then we've got the annexation parcel, and how do we even figure out, because they're two total, you've got 200 plus acres on one side, you've got about 40 on the other. So how do we work out that language to make sense for both of these things using one part of the code?
Okay.
So we haven't done that yet. We just haven't experienced something like that yet, having to, it used to be much easier. You had R1, you had R2, you had
Right.
R3, and so now it's, and it was residential or it was commercial. You didn't have both. This both thing,
Right.
and the fact that we now have the county that is, as part of that annexation, they want to have some kind of use earmarked for them. There's going to be a commercial component to it as part of that. That has been part of our comp plan, the commercial component along that 304 corridor for, the last two comp plans that I can remember. And then, of course, the residential part of it. So how do we, we're still working through how we're going to make sense of all that.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if that answered your question, but
Yeah, right.
I hope it did.
Now
as
it's
good
coming
as I
back to
can.
me. Okay.
Your guess is as good as mine, Dan. I don't know. Anything else? We good?
I don't have any more questions.
Good, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, thank you.
Jeff's over there. just
Jeff, you have
quiet.
anything?
No.
All right.
Hey, thank
Yeah,
you.
Yeah, it was a very good summary.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Helped.
And if anybody wants to know the details, it's all in the packet. There's like, I don't know how many pages of
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah, I
right?
definitely
20 pages of
consolidated
background,
all of it.
if anybody wants to know.
Oh,
So,
yeah, and also,
right.
we're always looking for more members for the planning commission.
Yes,
I'll keep
always looking
recruiting
for
every
planning
time I come
commission
in, yeah.
members.
Yes.
Awesome.
Great, thank you.
All right, next up, we have a public hearing. So this is for ordinance 3-2025, the CETA structure. An ordinance of the Town Council of Centerville to amend the provisions of Chapter 20, Article 5 of the Town Code related to the Centerville Economic Development Authority. I will provide some background. So we've been talking about reinvigorating CETA and changing the makeup from what was previously in the code. It has a mix of industry and interested residents and representatives from organizations. We've talked about it many, many times. So that's the background. I will now call Carolyn Brinkley, Town Manager, to present evidence of the published notice of this hearing.
Certificate of Publication, State of Maryland, County of Queen Anne's. This is to certify that the Annex Legal Advertisement has been published in the March 28th, 2025 Bay Times Record Observer.
Thanks. All right, we will first hear from all those in favor of proposed ordinance 03-2025 and then from those opposed. Please keep comments to 3 minutes. You're welcome to provide written testimony to the town council as well. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on the ordinance? Okay. We have received a couple emails about it over the last few months, so we will consider all comments presented this evening and in writing before making a final decision regarding the ordinance. Do I hear a motion to adjourn this hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the hearing is adjourned. Okay. Next up, we have a resolution. Dan, that's you. Resolution 5-2025. This is the comp plan stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess we need to schedule a public hearing for this. I thought,
Yeah.
yes.
Is the next one in your packet for old business, the CETA resolution? That's what I have in mind.
Oh, right.
No, the next thing we have up is Resolution 5-2025, Comprehensive Plan 2040.
Okay. Mine's backwards.
And then,
Okay, I have,
but it says, so it's a resolution, normally we can act on it, but we can't, right?
yeah, we can't because we have to
We have to have a public
we have to
hearing.
have a public hearing, right.
Okay, so this is just, here's the resolution for everything Kara just talked about. We'll have a public hearing when?
It is actually scheduled for May 15th.
Okay,
So the ad will go in, I believe it's next Friday. Ad goes in.
all right, great. Anything else on that? You good?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. We're all struggling up here, it seems. All right, next up on our agenda is the Planning Commission Chair's super favorite topic, Ordinance 06-2025, a text amendment for an electronic sign. So this ordinance, super narrow to allow a sign at a school when said school is adjacent to a state road and non-residential zoning exists across the state road. So this would allow only one school, or I guess two, middle school, I guess technically two. The middle school and the high school could get electronic signs. The high school's been asking for this for a while. They wanted to be included when we did it for the Legion, and we didn't do that. We certainly, at least speaking for myself, want to avoid them at Kennard or Centerville Elementary or the Board of Ed current building where they're like right in neighborhoods.
Yeah.
The high school is across from largely the county complex. So
Right.
I don't think it would be disruptive in terms of a residential sense. The sign that they want, that's going to be a no, at least for me. They want, like a full color, looks like a TV screen situation, which they have on Kent Island, which we don't allow anywhere in town. So this would allow them to have only what we already allow in the places that we allow it. So nothing special, just similar to what Goodwill or the Legion has been able to do. When I spoke to Kara about it, one of the suggestions she had was to have sort of a public works agreement for these signs so that we have some teeth behind like enforcement. So like, I know Jeff's been working on it, but Goodwill's sign is non-compliant right now. So to have, I don't know, to consider, Sharon, if we could think through, like, what could we do to put additional teeth behind enforcement if we allow someone, a deviation basically from our rules to have an electronic sign, and then they are a repeat offender of having the words move, which is the case across the street, or if the high school does, because most of them that you buy, as I understand it, are going to be full color, and then they're going to be just not using that feature. But if they start doing full color things, like to have some sort of recourse that they can lose their privilege. But right now, this would just allow super narrowly the sign there. This is just a first reading. We will have a public hearing, have other opportunities, so.
This gets referred to the planning commission first.
Yeah, planning commission first. Okay.
Right.
Do we need to do
It's
that
there
today then?
first.
Okay.
So current for, again, you have the example of the fire hall. So if there's non-compliance now, what do we do as a town?
We call Jeff Keel, because it's the firehouse.
But yeah, and when the Legion first got their sign, they couldn't get it figured out, and
Yeah,
so it was
technical
like,
problems, whatever, yeah.
and
but-
so we've historically just worked with the people. I mean, we have so few of them. We
Yeah,
have
right,
so
I
few.
know, I get it, was the right.
But as we allow more, which hopefully not more, but
Right,
you know, I'm a little concerned about this one because of our relationship with the Board of Ed in general, and that what they want is just something obscene.
right, so we're allowing them to have
Trusting them
electronic.
to, yeah.
So again, back to the teeth and being able to, if people are non-compliant, that we have something to fall back on. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that.
Because all we can do currently would be to fine them, or you know, are we gonna get in the business of fining the high school every day that the sign's not working? Right, so
Right,
like some other way
yeah,
that we can say like it's a privilege and
right. So can you comment?
privilege. Because you're not gonna put a lien on the high school. I mean, so what are you gonna do?
Make
You
them
know.
turn it off. You can make them turn it off.
Yeah, revoke the sign permit, I mean, we'll have
Yeah,
to think through.
think through what we could do, but yeah, I do support the idea of letting them have one. The existing informational sign there is crumbling apart.
Right.
Yes.
So I think it makes sense. I think Councilmember Keel feels similarly. And I also think it'll be a busy public hearing based on the Facebook chatter about it.
Okay.
All right, so we need to refer this to the Planning Commission. Do we have a motion to refer ordinance 06/2025 to the Planning Commission?
So moved.
Second.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Okay. Enjoy. Next up is the conversation about First Fridays.
Oh, hold on. Maybe I missed this, but
Yeah.
what about the consideration of ordinance 03/2025, the CETA structure? Are we going to defer that?
Yeah,
or
we can do that. We can go
Or you want to
back.
go ahead and do it?
We can go back and do it.
Okay.
Sorry, that's what you were trying to get, and I'm like, no, it's not what's in the package.
I didn't know if.
I mean, it was,
your
but I like moved on with my life because
Because
we talked about
when
it.
there's a public hearing, sometimes
yeah.
it gets in there, it's like under the public hearing, but
Yeah.
not necessarily under the, so.
Right, because it was right away, so I moved it along.
Gotcha.
Okay, yes. Consideration of ordinance 03/2025, the CETA structure. Is there a motion
Okay.
or discussion or?
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 03/2025 concerning the CETA structure.
Okay.
I second.
Let him
I'll give
have
it to Chad.
Yeah, there's a time
We'll
delay.
mix it up.
Yeah.
All right.
delay.
All right, any discussion?
No.
All right, we'll take a roll call vote. Councilmember Huffer,
Approve.
Councilmember Worth,
Yes.
Council Vice President Keel,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. All right. Thanks for the catch. All right, next up now, we have the discussion on First Fridays. I did reach out to members of the council just to check on support level for First Friday before I endeavored on getting them going again. Proposal is to have them in May, June, August, and September this year, skipping July because July 4th is the first Friday. And then ending them in September. Some years we've gone into October and it's just very dark and very cold. So just doing those 4 months to allow them to be considered a town event, because I think there's already that perception anyway. And then also to allocate $1,000 total to support music at all 4. I think we can get the music for that cost, and if not, I'll get money elsewhere to cover it, but to support. So it would just be $1,000 total and the permission to close the street. And then the town has already been super helpful with the event, things like trash cans, that sort of thing. I will continue to take all the trash and all the things that we've always done. The one thing, just for your awareness, is I did ask Carolyn if town staff could coordinate with the county for the square, because Eric had traditionally done that, so. And that's an insurance thing. They need to just know that, I mean, we do it all the time for town events, so. That's it, but I would appreciate a motion to approve these various things, First Friday related.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll make
just
a
to talk-
motion.
Right.
We can discuss while
A
there's a
little
motion on the table.
conversation, just a little bit. So, So well, yeah, I support it because a lot of towns do this. I mean, it's just common. Most towns do this, so I think it's great, and thanks for taking the lead to do it. So it's normally like a band, and just can you talk a little bit about just
Yeah.
give us a little bit of a feel for, again, people that are watching who may not have gone. And,
Yeah, so there's always a band. We have historically had a food vendor. Unfortunately, he passed away. So we are looking for another food vendor. It can be difficult because we don't want to compete with the existing restaurants in town. So finding someone that has a different product has always been our aim, but we're working on getting a food vendor. So there's a band, there's a food vendor. There's lawn games like cornhole and giant Yahtzee and that sort of stuff out there. Sometimes we have arcade games out there. And then there are vendors that set up. There's a mix of nonprofits, small businesses. It's kind of different every month.
okay. A little bit
Yeah.
different spin.
Just people in the square. Anecdotally, Coliseum has told me before it's one of their busiest nights of the month all summer. The ice cream shop has a line a mile long that night. So I do think it translates to support for our businesses in town too.
Yeah.
And it's just 2 hours. It's from 6 to 8.
Yeah.
So it's 2 hours. There's usually a face painter. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Great. No, it's good. No, again, part of community, to bring people together, bringing them downtown, and supporting the businesses, so.
The Arts Council will be out with activities for kids and it's a good community thing. Sometimes the library has come with their mobile library, just depending on what's going on. I like that it's a little different every month. So you're not coming back for the same
nice.
thing every month.
Yeah,
It's different
that's
music every month. It's different.
Terrific.
Okay.
So now,
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. All right, next up, reports of boards and commissions. Jim's not here, so I'm assuming nothing for MML. Jeff, assuming nothing for Council of Governments?
I will have them next meeting.
Okay. Economic Development, we just got the CETA structure passed, and so we're gonna need to start recruiting some people from those various things to apply. Park Advisory Board.
Yeah, just this next Friday is Arbor Day, and so they'll be planting 3 trees on the Millstream walk, and so it'll be near the Gooseneck Landing. It's in the mulch area. 3 trees will be planted. 2 sourwoods, which is really for bees, pollinators, and 1 serviceberry, which is really for birds. So it's always very native, making certain that we're kind of giving back to nature. And Centerville Elementary and Wye River Upper School children will be there, which is fantastic as far as education. And there'll also be, I believe, an arborist that'll be there, just talking about how to plant a tree, tree health, et cetera. So it's educational as well. So I'll be there, and anybody, watching can come, and it should be fun. Starts at 9 a.m. on Friday. So looking forward to that. And then also last month, I failed to say there was an election of officers. Mike Whitehill will continue to be chair. Jean Magary will be the vice president, and then Wendy Hubert will be the secretary, or Hubbard will be the secretary. So, and that's it.
Okay. Reports of department heads, town manager.
Oh,
Sorry, planning commission.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what, I thought it was like,
I just keep moving on with my life, one step early.
Well, you thought that
Keep
one
moving
presentation was
along.
enough, huh? You got it. No, they do more.
Felt like enough.
They do more than that, I tell you. Okay, last night they approved a subdivision of the merged lots that are on Spring Street. So to put in a couple of houses there. Draper Brothers preliminary site plan. There was concerns about the landscaping along the north side and architectural features on the south side, which is kind of looking at a blank wall there mostly. So, and since there's a parking lot there, I thought it was important to kind of break that up a little bit. And also, once again, we have, questions about the sign ordinance and design guidelines, and it looks like they got too many signs, basically. So, too many square feet. The shopping center and the business park, they came for final site plan approval, which was granted, but they still need to do a final subdivision plan and a sign plan, which is part of that new ordinance. Okay, so, and also the planning commission wants more architectural details about the auto parts store, which looked rather generic as a commercial, as a nationwide commercial building would look like. Okay, so, so the planning commission reviewed the sign ordinance that was before them concerning the shopping center monument signs, and they thought it'd be better to integrate it with the sign section of the code rather than where it is now. It's within the planned business development plan. Yeah, so it take a little bit of language changes. So we're not going to see it soon. So maybe next month. I don't know.
Yeah, they continued it, or deferred it till their next meeting, because
Yeah.
it was by then almost, 9:30 at night. Everyone was burnt out, and,
Yeah, we weren't going to work on language
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that time.
Fair.
Yeah.
But they were okay with it.
Okay.
And also, Kara's going to send a letter to the Queen Anne's County Liquor Board concerning Hillside, because it's a unique situation where you have mixed use in the building, and make sure they get the language of the license correct. Because if they just say premises, that could be just people upstairs wouldn't be able to drink alcohol on the roof, or that kind of thing. So,
Choose to live above a liquor store, there's
yeah, I
certain
guess
consequences, I guess.
well, there's good and there's bad. So, and then they're meeting to continue to work on the complete neighborhood TND code. Will be Saturday, May 3rd. It'll start at 9 o'clock and finish 3, 4 o'clock, something like that. Yeah,
Sounds like a blast.
yeah, I know.
I'm really jealous.
You can
You're welcome to
if you
come.
want
Out
to.
of town. Otherwise, I'd be all over that.
And that is all we had.
Okay. All right, town manager.
I attended the Queen Anne's County Tax Set-Off last week with Council Vice President Keel. We've got a lot of development going on, a lot of building permits I just signed a stack of building permits today. Attended the Planning Commission meeting last night, and staff met last week. We are starting to modify the language in the application for a peddler's permit. That is way past due to be updated, so.
Have people started coming in for them?
Not yet, not yet. They kind of, we'll get the ice cream truck here shortly, and,
Just, every pest control company in the town?
I think what I'm more concerned about is we don't really have language in there about food trucks and where they can be and can't be, and we want to make sure we get that language in there and make it fair for our existing businesses, and just make it more clear. We need to up the price of them because of we do the background checks for them, and unless you're Girl Scouts, you don't have to have a background check, so. And then I wanted to ask the council, and we can do this at a later date when all the council is here, but the June 19th meeting is a holiday, which is the last meeting in June for the council. So I didn't know, does the council still want to have a meeting, or do you want to cancel that meeting?
It's a holiday, I think we should cancel it.
Yeah, I
The
guess
town
so.
staff doesn't have to come in on a holiday.
Yeah, no, I understand that, yeah. So as far as so we'll have one meeting in June?
One meeting?
Yeah, which is not atypical
Atypical?
either.
It's not atypical, yeah.
Well,
We should probably look at the whole summer schedule, because the next meeting is July 3rd.
3rd, yeah, and we wouldn't
Well,
want to
and
meet there
I'll
either.
probably, I thought about the June 19th only because, I don't know, it's coming up and it was a holiday, so I wanted to get that out of the way. I will probably next meeting have a summer schedule for the council to
Just
review.
maybe we should
and-
meet June 26th, so it's less in between, and then not meet July 3rd. Like, let's figure it
Yeah, that
out.
would make sense.
Yeah,
At least do that part, yeah, figure out the rest.
On Thursday, the 26th.
That way there's 3 weeks between meetings rather than a month, and that we don't try to have a meeting the night before a holiday.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
And the other thing, just talking about meetings, just again, for planning the next several months. So when TND is done, then it'll come to town council. So as far as however, because I think you had mentioned actually maybe doing maybe.
We should have a work session or
Right,
something,
that's
yeah.
where I was going. So as far as a work session, so again, it's a meeting, so, and just having that and our thoughts about whenever it should come to us to have work sessions around that. So it's just to put it on the table about that.
Agreed. Okay, anything else, Carolyn?
Nope, that's all I have.
Okay, town attorney.
I have nothing.
Okay. Director of Public Works. Oh, gosh. I thought maybe you just wanted to hang out with us.
Just to keep you folks in the know and everything. In this budget year, we have money in the capital improvement plan for work at the spray field. I just want to let you know we're moving forward with that. We're ordering parts, and so when you see some bills for it, right now we're up to $32,000 for these parts. The work's going to be done in-house, but just didn't want to surprise you
Okay.
when you saw the check register come through. Okay?
All right, appreciate that. That's an easy one,
Just for the
Kim.
heads up.
Okay. All right, we will now go to our second citizens forum. Citizens are requested to keep their comments to 3 minutes. Are there any citizens that wish to address the council? Okay. Council roundtable. Council Vice President Keel.
Nothing.
Okay. Councilmember Worth.
No, nothing here.
Councilmember Huffer.
Nothing more to add.
Okay. The only thing I would say is that the first Friday will be May 2nd. From 6 to 8.
Will it be warm by then?
I certainly hope so. May 2nd.
It's warm now.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Florida.
Yeah, in
where you
Florida.
are.
Right.
It's 90.
Oh, my gosh.
That's all I have. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, we're adjourned.